My name is Martin Miles, and I would like to introduce our next speaker on stage, Jake Hookom. Please welcome. Jake is Vice President of Commerce and Analytics at SUGCON, who joined SUGCON after the acquisition 3 years ago from 451. Jake is very special to the community. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, to kick us off, again, what were those 3 themes that Steve talked about today? Can you call them out? Talk about innovation, talk about disruption. And really, my job here today is to talk about generative AI, the limitations of generative AI, and how we see it happening both within SUGCON and where we see the implications of convergence with the community. So yesterday, Roger and Hannah, they touched a little bit about our history with AI. Yes, AI and generative AI are buzzwords right now, but let's not forget the long-standing history that SUGCON has in the AI space. It's existed everywhere within our platforms and our products. For example, the ability to take your existing assets, enrich your processes internally, such as automatically looking at images, extracting tags, information out of videos, to help cut hours and hours and hours out of managing your digital assets. We've recently launched capabilities in AI and machine learning, taking click data, clickstream data, purchase data happening within your e-commerce experience, using that data, making sense of it with machine learning and AI to generate targeted marketing campaigns. So instead of doing the traditional, I'm going to email blast thousands of customers at once and just watching all of them opt out, with our new audience discovery capabilities in Send, you can automatically target people that are specifically interested in certain brands like Nike or Reebok, maybe they're bargain buyers, and you can instead target them with specific coupon opportunities, etc. A big part of our heritage is personalization. And built into the SUGCON platform with Personalize and what you're seeing come forth with XM Cloud and XM Cloud Plus is these ideas of using AI to experiment on the fly in real time. Being able to optimize your site for specific goals, to drive towards click purchasing by setting up the control and variable groups, and just letting the AI optimize your experiences for you. No more guessing, no more second guessing if your site is truly optimized. Obviously with generative AI and some of the announcements that Roger and the product team have made so far during these events, we are creating the ability to inspire net new content using generative AI. You see this more and more within our products going forward. Anything you might have to supply from a copy perspective, and additionally from an image creation or image modification perspective, will continue to be innovated within our platform. But one of the cool things to think about, and again, my job here today is to inspire, is taking a look at technology like this, combined with the ability to do A/B testing and experimentation, to be able to generate different variations of content and experiment with them on the fly, automating that all through AI. The other aspect too is that, I think last year at Symposium, I think Steve T said, about 5% of the content you produce gets 90% of the attention. That's a problem. You're investing a lot of time and a lot of money into content about your brand, about your business, knowledge-based articles, etc., that nobody ever finds. Obviously, with our search technology and all the embedded AI capabilities in there, our AI and machine learning runs to create connections between the content you're already producing to allow the right personas and right people to interact and find the content in net new ways. This extends in our use of AI, the ability to scale your business. I think Steve touched on, implications of workforce working with technology. When you think about the marketer and merchandiser in this context, and in the commerce realm, you might have tens of thousands of products. When you think about the buyer journey and all the faceting, navigation clicks, landing pages, search terms, etc., How do you keep up from a personalization perspective? And again, Sitecore's AI technology allows you to scale those experiences by able to upsell, cross-sell across any of those touch points in the buyer journey. So while we've had a successful history from a product and product strategy and the features we put on our platform, underlying all of that is our architecture. Sitecore and our journey on composability have talked tremendously about our cloud-native APIs. A lot of our platforms, especially in our commerce realm, and what's been released not only in our platform DXP, but also with our XM Cloud platform with things like webhooks, extension points, event streaming. And while those technologies were developed years ago and put in these platforms as good practices, what we've seen that actually do is untap a plethora of opportunities within the community and within the partner ecosystem to actually take those extension points and quickly adopt AI. There's not a day that goes by that I don't see on LinkedIn or like something or reshare something on LinkedIn where I've seen the community of partners bring AI technology into Sitecore. It's been brilliant. But despite our heritage in AI, and I'd like to say, when GPT came out, our message should have been there, done that. We've been doing it everywhere. That's in our lineage of being Sitecore. GPT is the hot new AI standard in tech. So I'm going to talk about it, where the market's going, how to look at it from an innovation perspective, and some key ways that you can break the limitations that exist today in GPT. It's taken off like wildfire. It even surpassed TikTok in terms of user adoption. But what that ended up doing, though, when you look at the market, you look at the industry there, is that it's spurring a massive increase of AI startups. Lots of little vertical use case solutions out there that are being stood up out in market, just sitting on top of GPT. This essentially is getting the peak of the hype cycle at a very rapid pace. But there are clear limitations to the technology that I'm going to talk about how you break them today. For example, asking, what is the weather today? I don't have access to real-time data. The inability to answer natural contextual questions. What are the best walking paths in my area? Down in Chaska, I'm a local. What recent news is important to me that I should be aware of? My last knowledge update was September 2021. You start to see the limitations of GPT. And so how do you break these limitations in technology from a personalization aspect? Where they live, what their preferences are, what kind of things that they've been engaging with that might come into context in providing an answer. Relevancy. Again, that 2021 snapshot. How do you bring your business data? How do you bring more recent content, recent news, recent events into GPT's ability to respond to your users? And lastly, this big notion of context. I'm going to talk about how you flip the script from an innovation perspective here and where we're seeing it with some of our technology partners. But what's happening in terms of that spur of innovation of little AI startups, put yourself in the shoes of the business users. Lots of little individual AI applications that are completely disconnected. What is that experience? What are we building towards? Let's talk about how to solve this. I'm going to talk through a few examples, of how we break these limitations. One of the first examples I want to talk about is how to leverage Sitecore CDP. So in this context here, I might have a series of human prompts. Again, I showed you some of the failures of GPT out of the box. What we can do here, and again, my job here today is to inspire, kind of get the ideas going. Ways you can extend and create on top of Sitecore. In this case here, the way this would work is you not only take a prompt, it might be a prompt somebody types in, or a pre-built interaction, or a page in your website. So you take that fundamental prompt. You might also take their visitor cookie ID and associate that to the CDP profile. So what you end up doing is you say, here's my prompt, and I'm going to take that ID, tap into our CDP system, gather up the telemetry data, their preferences, any other like CRM sales data that might be around them, any other content engagement you might have about them, their location, etc. Combine that with their prompt, then send that to GPT. Problem solved. I know where that person lives, I know what their preferences are. Now I get a much more personalized response. The other aspect, one of the products in my portfolio is Cycler Search, kind of a fan. We've got our hackathon coming up, as Steve mentioned. One of the biggest things we're seeing in terms of even internally and out in industry with partners and customers is that they have these great ideas for application GPT and these experiences they want to create. It's half the problem. You've got to think about relevancy. How do I get the data? How do I pull that data into GPT? Well, working with Microsoft and the AI team at Microsoft, there's this model out there called the RAGS model. It's kind of a cool name. But the way to think about it here, when you're trying to create these experiences and trying to solve the aspect of relevancy, other content you might have on your website, other systems, knowledge bases, etc., that you want to tap into, Cycler Search can be that easy button. There are other technologies, bare metal technologies out there in terms of being able to store and index content. But part of that problem too is having tools to index, crawl, read PDFs, parse PDFs, index and tag and extract data. And at the same time, Cycler Search has its own personalization and AI on top of that. So the way this works is, again, just like the CDP example, I can take my prompt, take my inquiry, might be, where can I best pick up this new car? Or based on my preferences, which of the automotive dealers in the Minneapolis area should I go visit? I can take that prompt and I can go ahead and pass that query into Cycler Search to tap into a plethora of like a multi-index of content. The way the RAGS model works, and this is actually the way that Bing.com worked at its launch, and it would take that query, go ahead and send that over to search. Take the top 5 results or 10 results, extract the content from it, then you pass it into GPT. Take the prompt, you give it the context, and again, the newer GPT models can support, I think, like 25,000 words. Now you can get much, much richer results. And again, when you're looking at this space, obviously bringing GPT technology is great, but at the same time, you can get the easy button for the other half of the problem from a relevancy perspective by using Cycler Search, thereby accelerating your innovation here with Cycler. The last aspect is this idea of persistent context over composable services. Sounds like a mouthful, but it's transformative. The examples I gave previously are applications interacting with different services and then passing it to GPT. What happens when you flip that script? Microsoft's announced and OpenAI have announced new plugin architectures. So now you can interface directly with GPT and let GPT access a multitude of services. Not only Cycler products, again, combining my previous 2 examples together from a knowledge perspective, but also tapping into your other business systems in real time. An example there is with our recently announced partnership with Noli. And this is really cool stuff. Think about a website co-pilot. I'm in airline industry. And the way this technology works, it not only uses Cycler Search, to my point earlier, but it also can tap into their airline booking systems and other customer service systems, other knowledge-based systems, to tie together these brilliant experiences that completely augment the way you interact with websites and can support your end users. So let's talk about where I think this topic is important, but also recognizing there's a lot of noise out there right now. Honestly, I think we're still in Horizon Zero. A lot of different ideas there. People are adopting GPT as a tool. But as I said, there's a lot of limitations. And it's created a lot of fragmentation. That's where we're seeing the rapid emergence of innovation, especially with community around Sitecore. Again, those sound architectural principles that have accelerated the innovation with all of you. And that idea of being able to tap into different content and different content services to pull together these experiences.
I would like to have my fellow committee members stand up.
And then again, where I think it's going to go into the future here is like my last example. This last horizon where we break free from the trough of disillusionment and the hype cycle. And we look at flipping the script in GPT. So we talked about the hackathon. A lot of our teams are going to be coming out with plugins to integrate Sitecore Search, looking at order cloud capabilities. So now you can interface with AI from a composable services, making GPT the quarterback of composability and stitching together use cases across automation, across your business, no different than a human would. And that's the biggest horizon I see us approaching the future. And what we're seeing here today, and the thing I want you to take away, is that there's ways for the community to accelerate and innovate and support our customers. Steve highlighted this perfectly. Not only to make every business and every customer we serve a digital business, but also embrace the pivotal nature of AI. You know, I know there's a plethora of talks. There's some at the MVP, there's a bunch today. I highly recommend you attend them, continue to get inspired, and watch out what we're coming out with next. So I appreciate it. Thank you all.